and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me here today for our first February book review. And this is the book that I chose to fulfill the prompt to read a book where friendship is a focus of the story. The book is Middle of the Night by Riley Sager, and it is a thriller. Ethan has not returned to his childhood home for years. Now that his parents are retiring and moving to Florida, he has agreed to move back into the home to keep an eye on it while they're deciding what to do. Ethan's been going through a personal crisis, and being back in this house is stirring up memories, not all of them pleasant. A tragedy occurred here in the summer when Ethan was 10. His best friend at the time was his neighbor, Billy. Billy's interests were not like other kids their age. Billy was into the paranormal, like ghosts, and communicating with them. Every Friday night that summer, Ethan and Billy would camp out in Ethan's backyard. On a particular Friday night, they fell asleep, and when Ethan awoke the next morning, he saw that there was a big slash down the side of the tent, and Billy was gone. Ethan cannot remember that night. His therapist and a police officer come to believe that he is blocking the memories and that his brain is doing that to protect him from them, which the police officer believes means that it was one of their neighbors who carried out the crime. And everyone in that cul-de-sac has been under suspicion ever since, and very few have moved away in the 30 years since it happened. Ethan has nightmares about what happened that night, and not surprisingly, he doesn't sleep well. So on one of his first nights in the house, he is looking out the window late at night, and he watches as the motion sensing lights go on at every house, starting at the house furthest from him and approaching the house he's staying in. So he runs down to the front door, throws it open. He sets off the motion sensing light on his house, but there is no one there. But Ethan senses a presence, and he's certain that that presence is Billy. And this is not the only time that Ethan will sense Billy's presence. He finds a baseball tossed into his yard, which was a secret sign between him and Billy. Then he finds another. Ethan has many questions, and these odd occurrences stir up memories and feelings, and he decides that it's time for him to investigate. His investigations put him in touch with neighbors and friends that he hasn't seen for years, and along the way, he finds the answers that he needs. This story is well constructed. It is told in the present and from the perspective of various neighbors in the events in the past. So as Ethan remembers something, we see it also from the perspective of the others who were there to experience it. The characters are real, and you will keep reading to the end, wanting to know what really happened. This is the second book I've read by this author, and it's my favorite. I've decided that I really need to read more of this author's books. What can you read for a similar experience? That is a very good question, and I am going to focus on books where there's an unsolved mystery from the past or an unsolved mystery in a neighborhood. First up, and I do not have a print copy of it, but it is available in the Kitchigami Regional Library System, and it is Such a Quiet Place by Miranda. Hollow's Edge was the perfect neighborhood, where neighbors celebrated milestones together, and everyone felt like family. Until a couple was found dead in their home, and one of the people in the neighborhood, Ruby, was arrested and found guilty of the murders. Now they're trapped, unable to sell their houses and confronted by the empty house where that couple lived. Ruby is back. Her conviction was overturned, and no one is happy about it. She moves right back into the home that she shared with Harper, and Harper, frankly, is terrified. What good can come of Ruby moving back into the neighborhood, she wonders. But at the same time, how can she turn Ruby away when she has nowhere else to go? making matters worse, Harper has received threatening notes, and it becomes apparent that not everyone told the truth about what happened that night. Harper has no other choice but to look into matters for herself before somebody else gets hurt. The Last House Guest, also by Miranda. Villaport, Maine is the ideal place to vacation for the wealthy and a tourist community that desperately depends upon the wealthy visitors for their survival. Friendships between one group and the other don't usually happen, but that is what happens for visitor Sadie Lohman and resident Avery Greer. Every summer the girls are inseparable until Sadie is found dead. The police have determined that it was a suicide, but community members, Sadie's family included, have laid the blame squarely on Avery. Avery is convinced that someone knows more than they are saying. Intent on clearing her name, Avery stays where she is, determined to find out what truly happened. This is a twisty mystery with a strong main character determined to make her own way in the world. And The Turn of the Key by Ruth Ware. Rowan finds an ad for a nanny that is too good to pass up. In the beautiful Scottish Highlands, with an unbelievable salary and an amazing family with such wonderful daughters. She doesn't realize what she is about to step into, which is apparent from the start of the book. It's a series of drafts of a letter to a lawyer who she hopes will take a look at her case and defend her. From there, we learn the events of her time as a nanny at Heathbrae House. Within a couple of days of starting the job, Rowan is left with the two younger daughters while the parents go away for a work conference. And struggles begin right away. From the constant surveillance to the loud music that awakens her at night, to the sounds coming from above her room. And the girls are definitely not the sweet, pleasant girls she met at the interview. They are more trouble than Rowan thought possible. I'm also going to mention a series that we've talked about before, and that is the Ben Packard series by Joshua Moling. It begins with, "And there he kept her." And I won't go into the details of that book, but I will put the link below if you want to know more about it. And there we are. I hope that you enjoyed talking about Middle of the Night by Riley Sager and other thrillers that take place especially in a neighborhood or are connected to events from the past. Now it's time to select the prompt for the next book that I will be reading, and once again, I've got the prompt hanging on the wall, so I'm going to step back, then I'll reach back and I will grab one of the prompts. I'll bring it closer so you can see what it is. And I'm just going to walk backwards. I'll put my hand out so I don't trip. There we go. All right. I've got one. It's really stuck up there. And I'm not going to look at it, but I'm going to hold it up so you can see it. And now I will look at it. So, it's a book with a character who is an author, and I know just the book. I'll be right back. All right, so I found a book to read to fulfill the prompt to read a book with a character who is an author. And the book is Cards on the Table by Agatha Christie. I've got the print book. I've also got an audio book so I can listen to and read them together, or read it or listen to it. We'll see how that goes. I will be back later this week with an Explore and Create. I will be back sometime next week with Cards on the Table. I hope that you will join me then, and until then, I hope that you enjoy all that you do and all that you read. And thank you.